From the ABC 27 Storm Track Center, it's time to go beyond the forecast.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another Beyond the Forecast. Tonight, we can finally think spring after what has been a long and rough winter here in central Pennsylvania.
Many of you probably don't want to think about winter anymore, and I completely understand. But since it was such an interesting season around these parts, we wanted to break it down for you by the numbers and take a look back at all of the snow and all of the cold over the last several months.
Yeah, that's right, Eric. So brace yourselves as we look back over the winter of 2013 to 2014. And who better to take us on this journey down memory lane than our own winter lover himself, Brian Coyle.
After taking it easy on central PA for the past few years, Old Man Winter returned for this past season with a vengeance. It all began on November 12th, the first snow of the season. It was just a dusting in the late night hours, but a vision of things to come. Into December, our region saw several small storms pop up. At first, it was all in good fun, even festive, with Christmas approaching.
Don't mind the snow. Let it snow, let it snow.
But then they kept coming. December 8th, December 10th, December 14th, December 26th. Almost every storm dropping substantially more snow in our southern counties compared to northern counties. That would become the theme of the winter. Just look at the difference in our news crew footage from December 8th. In Harrisburg and in York. By the new year, many had already had their share, just as we were getting started. As if the snow wasn't enough, January brought the cold. 6 days in a row with low temperatures in the single digits at the Harrisburg International Airport. Records were broken, and those living along the Susquehanna River saw the largest ice cover in nearly 20 years. By February, the ground was frozen, and the stage was set for the largest snowfall of the season.
Right now, it is really piling up.
The big storm brought just over 9 inches of snow to the capital city, with southern counties seeing closer to 1.5 feet.
Bad. To me, it's like a blizzard. And wow, I think we had like a 12 inches.
The snow piles grew to mammoth heights. The cold weather kept the old snow from melting, and each storm just piled on top of that. In some parts of Lancaster and York counties, the snow covering the ground measured nearly 30 inches.
People shoveling their cars out. I had to shovel this one out, and some total stranger walked up to me and started helping me. I gave him some money. I said, man, you got to take this. And he went on and took it. I said, buy yourself some beer, whatever.
Salt supplies dwindled, and even propane prices soared as even more bitterly cold temperatures returned in early March. No records this time around, but still cold enough to turn heads. Throw in another round of light snow on St. Patrick's Day, and many Pennsylvanians had enough.
Everyone's getting tired. This winter's been a long one. We had 2 mild winters, so it's been a while, and we're ready for spring.
And indeed, the slow crawl toward spring continued into late March. But in the end, January went down as the coldest in over 20 years. It failed to crack the top 5 coldest winters on record, but the recent warm winters made this one really hit home. Seasonal snowfall totals went above average for the first time since the winter of 2009 and 2010. Officially, the airport has recorded 43 inches so far. Of course, southern counties have seen much more than that, with totals ranging from 50 to nearly 70 inches. The winter of 2013-2014 won't break any snow records, but it was the amount of storms, over 15, along with some poor timing snow that hit during countless morning commutes. It led to traffic headaches and several schools going way over their snow day supply. When summer vacation rolls around, students will still be feeling the pinch from this cold and snowy winter.
And you finally think we're done with this winter weather. We started off the week with more snow and sleet for some of us.
That's right. The weekend proved to be very wet, and then that changed over to some snow and sleet in what we call a thin deformation zone behind an upper level low. And lo and behold, late March, more snow, more sleet, more headaches. What else would we expect?
Hopefully we don't see that in April.
Let's hope not. Our thanks to Ryan Coyle. No offense to him, but now we can turn the corner and think spring.
That's right. Coming up on Beyond the Forecast, Dan Tomaso will look ahead with our spring outlook. Plus, I'll have a look at how this year's snowfall may have impacted the growing season here in central Pennsylvania. Stay with us. Welcome back to Beyond the Forecast. I was recently asked by viewers how the heavy snowpack from this winter may contribute to the local growing season. With ties to the farming community, this topic was particularly interesting to me. So I found out that it's not just the snow melt, but the extent of the cold that will have an effect at the surface and underground. With an above-average snowfall this winter, you think it would be beneficial to the start of the growing season and replenish our groundwater. But the Arctic air we experienced in January managed to freeze several feet of the ground before the snow arrived. As a result, the majority of our snow melt ended up in our streams and rivers. Only a fraction of the snow melt was absorbed in the surface layer. And as we continue to thaw under the subsurface, our soil moisture index is showing much of the eastern United States in line with the soil moisture climatology for the start of spring. A view of the drought monitor will show that we bounced back from the dry spell of late last summer. This image was taken from last September when several counties were experiencing abnormally dry conditions. Soil moisture and rainfall are important as we move into the growing season, but air temperature and soil temperature are equally important. In fact, soil temperature is one of the most important conditions for proper seed germination and crop yields. There are many fruits and vegetables that require warmer soil temperatures to germinate. Planting too early can also produce smaller yields. I know many of us are eager to get outdoors after a long and snowy winter, but don't rush into the growing season, especially with the sluggish, cool start we are experiencing this spring. Fortunately, there are certain garden crops that prefer cooler conditions. Vegetables such as onions, potatoes, peas, lettuce, and spinach thrive better before the heat of the summer arrives and can tolerate soil temperatures around 40 degrees. So perhaps adding these vegetables into your garden will temper the planting urge for now. I remember my grandmother telling me that warm season crops should wait to be planted until Mother's Day. This date is almost always far enough from any potential frost concerns. For our region, the last average killing frost and freeze is mid to late April. But waiting to plant warm season crops until mid-May will also allow some time for the ground to warm even more. The best soil temperature for many warm season crops is 80 to 90 degrees. But in order to have a yield during our growing season, most garden crops can germinate in somewhat cooler soils. Warm season crops such as peppers, tomatoes, corn, eggplants, and beets can germinate with higher success in soil temperatures around 50 to 60 degrees. Other crops like beans, cucumbers, cantaloupe, pumpkins, and watermelon germinate with higher success with soil temperatures between 60 and 70 degrees. We may have a cool start to our spring, but climatology will eventually win and will have more 60-degree days in April. So go ahead and start planning and planting your garden, but remember that air temperature and soil temperature play a big part in a successful garden. And it looks like moving ahead to our first week of April, we do have high temperatures in the 50s and 60s. So hopefully we finally get a break and we can remove ourselves from winter's grip. Let's send it over to Brett.
All right, thank you so much, Eric. And speaking of gardening, get ready for some coming up. Kathy Coyle shows me how to plant the perfect spring garden. And as Eric knows, I rarely like to get my hands dirty, so this could be interesting. Also, what would a show be about weather without Mr. Dan Tomaso? He looks ahead to spring and what we can expect this season. You're watching Beyond the Forecast.
Welcome back. Still helping out on the family farm. I'm used to getting my hands full of dirt and other things, but for Brett over here, it's a little bit of a different story.
You know me too well. Well, I'm not opposed, or well, I'm not certainly an outdoorsman like yourself, Eric. I'm not opposed to trying some new things once in a while, and that includes perhaps getting my hands a little dirty, especially now that the weather is finally cooperating here slowly. I recently spent the day with Kathy Coyle, our garden guru, and she taught me, and hopefully we can teach you, how to plant a spring garden. Well, we're here with our garden guru, Kathy Coyle, and I wanted to bring Kathy in for kind of a longer segment because, Kathy, it has been a long, rough winter.
Oh, boy, has it ever.
And I know we're to blame for that a little bit, but I thought, you know what, if folks like me are itching to get outside and really plant a garden, for me, the first time, I thought I'd come to you and you can teach us how to do it. Now, Kathy, I'm not used to getting my well-manicured hands dirty like Eric Finkenbinder, but if you can teach me, I'm ready to go.
We have got to get dirty. Let's get going. Come on, spring is here.
Yes, it is. All right, where do we begin?
Okay, this is a children's garden that we're going to work on today.
Okay.
And first thing we're going to do is loosen the soil. Now, it may be a challenge because the ground's been frozen for quite a while.
Yes.
If you could fix that, Brett, that would really be nice.
I'll try.
Okay.
Now, Kathy, usually as a weather guy, people are coming at me with pitchforks.
Yes.
But this is their actual use here.
That's exactly right. And you really need to chip through that and really get into it. And it's difficult to do, and you want to loosen that up.
Be careful,
Get
everybody.
it going.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
That's okay. I'm going to help you on this side.
Okay, perfect.
And we're going to chip away.
All right. And this ground is very frozen. Not a surprise, as we talked about. So let's pretend that we chip that up. And
yep.
By the way, we picked a very cold day to do this.
And then what I normally do, the next step that I do is I actually add some good old Holy Cow. Don't you just love the name of that product?
I do.
What this is organic cow manure, and it's odor-free.
Oh, wow.
You need to get your hands in there. Brett.
Okay, all right. Oh, my gosh. Eric, you should be very proud of me. I didn't know they made no-smell cow manure.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
You're going to mix that in with that soil.
Okay.
And you're going to get it going in there. Because
so that
we
really
want
helps
to make
things take off.
Absolutely. We're going to make it nice and rich.
Okay.
Now, if you don't want to just use this and your soil has been used for a couple of years and you want to add some more richness, you can also use mushroom compost in with it. And that would be this bag over here. The mushroom compost is also something that just enriches the soil, adds nutrients into it. And then pretty much when you get that soil worked and you're ready to go, then it's time to plant.
Okay.
You want to grab some onions?
Yes.
Because this time of year is the time that you can plant onions.
Okay.
You can plant potatoes.
Potatoes,
Let's start with
too.
the onions today. We'll do one for the onions for the kids because they're fun to sprout, easy to grow.
And easy to watch grow, too.
Absolutely.
If it ever warms up.
Okay, when you're looking at an onion to plant, you want to reach your hand in there and you want to see the little pointy ends up?
Yep.
See, they're saying, let's go.
Okay.
You want to bury those in there.
The pointy end in?
No pointy end up.
Oh, pointy end. See, look at that. I'm learning something already.
Cover it all up.
Okay.
Nice and well, and just keep on going.
Wow.
There's some more for you to go.
I'm going to take another. Can I take another handful here?
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect.
Get those little pointy ends up. Get them separate because you want to have a nice big onion bulb so that when you're ready, you're going to have a nice juicy onion.
Excellent. Okay. Now, potatoes next.
Yeah, you can, but you know what? We have to cut those. So what I would do next is I would add some garden tone, which is the plant food, and you can actually put that right on top. It's organic, slow release.
Okay.
You can also be thinking about planting your other cold crop veggies like lettuce and cabbage and all those cold crop thingies.
Now, finally, I want to ask you about flowers because people want to think spring, and there's nothing better than spring flowers. Is it too early to do that, or can people start once it warms up to really get going?
They can do perennials now, provided they've been hardened off, but it's just a little bit early. But it's, April, once you hit April, this is time to go.
All right.
It's Mother Nature saying, let's get going.
Yes, and I could not agree more. So you did it, Kathy. Got the hands dirty. Thank you so much for being with us. My thanks for Kathy. My thanks just for putting up with a novice like me. Hopefully some of you are able to use these tips to get going and plant a nice fresh spring garden. It will warm up eventually here this week. We'll start in. So.
And it's amazing what Holy Cow can do for you.
It is.
That's
what a great name.
Earlier in the show, we looked back at the winter that was. Now it's important to look ahead to see what spring holds, especially if you do want to get started on that garden.
Yeah, will it be warm, dry, or cool and wet? Dan Tomaso tries to answer those questions and more next in our Spring Outlook. Welcome back to Beyond the Forecast. As we prepare to emerge from our winter hibernations, weather always plays an important role during the spring months. What does Mother Nature have in store for the rest of April and into May? Well, we put Dan Tomaso on the case. He reports from State College.
We're here at the National Weather Service and State College where they link meteorology and hydrology together. Not only is the State College Forecasting Office here for day-to-day weather, but also the Mid-Atlantic River Forecast Center, which monitors the Susquehanna and Juniata rivers locally.
Right now,
Charles Ross is the senior service hydrologist for the State College office. He says Pennsylvania rivers and creeks can flood any time during the year, but are especially flood prone during the spring.
When you hear of a big rainstorm coming, then we usually see pretty good responses on our rivers and streams this time of year. The deeper the valleys, the more flood-prone areas we see. So people that have homes near the streams and creeks, it's beautiful 99.9% of the time, but every couple years, every 10 years, every 2 years, depending on where you are, you will have a flood, and you may have to deal with flooding actually into your property or certainly on the way out of your properties.
Besides the topography funneling water down from the higher terrain, weather patterns here can create local flooding issues.
You have the Gulf of Mexico to our south, the Atlantic Ocean is to our east. When these strong storms come out of the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic with all the moisture that they occur, and then they meet some of the cooler air that we'll find to our north over Canada, it tends to wring itself out right over the mid-Atlantic, and Pennsylvania can be right in the crosshairs generally from the springtime right through the summer months.
Other natural processes play a role, including soil conditions and ice formation.
All winters in Pennsylvania are generally considered cold, so our ground freezes. We'll see the frozen ground. We'll get a snowpack, especially in the mountains where the water actually comes from by the time it gets to Harrisburg. And then we'll see icing on rivers and streams. That can cause problems.
Plants springing up in April and May help to alleviate flood concerns.
So until the green up occurs, we're really susceptible to runoff with all these conditions. Yeah, when the trees start budding and then the leaves pop out, we notice that stream flows generally respond by starting to become a little bit lower in the summer months, and it takes more rain to actually cause flooding because it's the evapotranspiration and just the way that all the foliage uses water takes a lot out of the system per se.
Given the factors that create flooding, how does the River Forecast Center keep track of and forecast water levels along creeks and streams?
We have a series of river gauges all across the region. We have one on City Island in Harrisburg. These are the USGS, United States Geologic Survey, actually runs these river gauges. We grab the data from them. It comes in every hour, sometimes even more than an hour, or more often if it's the water levels get high. And we're constantly monitoring water levels, and we actually can make the forecast here that will give an idea what the river will be doing for the next 48 to 72 hours.
The bottom line from this story is that Pennsylvanians have to be worried about flooding throughout the year, especially if you live next to a river or creek. Here at ABC 27, we'll try to keep you ahead of any flooding, along with the help from the Mid-Atlantic River Forecast Center. Working for you and beyond the forecast, I'm meteorologist Dan Tomaso.
Well, thanks so much, Dan. And we just saw one of these types of events over the weekend with a lot of rain coming not only from the Gulf of Mexico but from the Atlantic. And that is exactly what Dan mentioned, that we're in the crosshairs here to get some of these big flooding events. Lots more to come right now. Let's send things over to Eric.
Thank you very much, Brett. Next on Beyond the Forecast, some final thoughts. And we'll tell you about when to catch this show again. But first, here's some trivia as we head to break. Thank you for watching our spring edition of Beyond the Forecast. Although the winter seemed long and cold, it was not record-setting. As we move into spring, we turn our attention towards severe weather.
Yes, indeed. We remain committed to keeping you safe this severe weather season. And in order to do that, we have two more forums coming up this month. The first is April 8th at York Suburban Middle School. After that, Central Penn College in Summerdale on April 15th. Join us as we talk about severe weather safety and take questions from you in the audience. We certainly hope to see you there. Fink, you and I were in Chambersburg a couple weeks back and had a great time, great turnout.
Great turnout, and we hope the next two will be just as good.
Absolutely. All right. Well, remember, if you missed any part of this show, it will re-air all week at 8 on Storm Track Center 24/7. Check your local cable subscribers for your channel listing. And if you don't get cable, you can always watch Storm Track Center 24/7 live over the internet. Just click on the Live Weather tab on our homepage. Well, that wraps things up for this edition of Beyond the Forecast Spring Ahead. We hope to see you at those forums. Thanks for joining us.
And we'll see you next time. Have a great night.